So Justin Trudeau, who believes that you should be able to vote in Canada without picture ID, is in charge of doing security background checks on 25,000 Muslim migrants from Syria in the next month. Oh, and he also believes you ought to be able to wear your face-obscuring niqab when appearing in a Canadian court. So presumably, if Trudeau thinks you can wear a niqab in court, you should be able to wear it when going through a security check. I mean, what's the difference? But how do you do background checks on people in a place where there are no documents? And if there are documents, it's easy to get counterfeit ones. Frankly, just as easy to bribe corrupt officials to issue you a real one. The Middle East is amongst the world's most corrupt places, not just government bureaucrats, but police, of course. How do you know if someone has had a criminal past, let alone a terrorist past? And what are we counting as terrorist? Is there a list of organizations that we're screening for? Not just banned terrorist groups like the Islamic State, the obvious one, but what about armed militias? Why would we bring in people who have fought on one side of a violent ethnic civil war? And so far, the Canadian government hasn't told us their criteria. Let me tell you what Barack Obama's senior officials have to say about how hard it is to vet refugees. Here's what James Clapper, the Director of National Intelligence, told Congress in September. I'm quoting from the Washington Post. He said, I don't obviously put it past the likes of ISIL to infiltrate operatives among these refugees. So that's a huge concern of ours, unquote. A huge concern. For the United States, the greatest military and security power in the West, it is a huge concern for them. Well, what about for us? We're 1/10 the size, actually more like 1% the size when it comes to things like military and security. And here's FBI Director James Comey, who told Congress last month, quote, a number of people who were of serious concern, unquote, slipped through as Iraqi war refugees, including 2 who were arrested on terrorism-related charges. But here's the thing. The U.S. had hundreds of thousands of people on the ground in Iraq, soldiers, civilians, collecting information about the local population for years, setting up systems, building contacts and informants. Comey said the difference this time is, quote, we don't know much about anybody. There won't be anything in our data, he said. I can't sit here and offer anybody an absolute assurance there's no risk associated with this, unquote. Well, no one is looking for zero risk. That's impossible in life. But what level of risk is acceptable? What's acceptable for you? And why on earth would you rush in 25,000 Syrians by Christmas, which is less than 5 weeks away? The U.S., with all of its mighty resources, is pledging to do a fraction of that over a much larger period of time. What's the possible rationale for Trudeau to race forward, to run towards danger? Why? Where is the evidence-based, science-based approach he used to talk about in the campaign? What risk is acceptable? 1 in 100? Is a terrorist? 1 in 1,000? 1 in 25,000? Why are we even doing this in the wake of the Paris attacks? In the U.S., they have screened and admitted 2,100 Syrian refugees in the past 3 years. We're looking at screening 10 times that number in 3 weeks. Let me end by quoting Eskinder Nagash, who oversaw the resettlement process in the United States from 2009 until last year for Obama. He told the Washington Post, quote, you'd be amazed at how time-consuming the process is, unquote. And he's an advocate for refugees. He runs a pro-refugee lobby group now, and even he's saying, slow down, take the proper amount of time. This is nuts. It's nuts that Trudeau is rushing forward and that his immigration minister, John McCallum, has actually admitted that they will start taking in migrants to Canada before they are even vetted.
A good number will be coming in the weeks to come. I cannot give you a precise number, but as we speak, we are working on transport, air transport, possibly transport by sea. We are working on the process for selecting the refugees, for getting exit permits for these refugees. We have to engage in coming days with leaders of the countries in which the refugees are now residing, with transportation facilities with the Army is playing a major role because military bases could be one of the locations in which these people are lodged. So we are working on all these fronts at the same time, and within a short time, a matter of days or a small number of weeks, we will have a detailed announcement of plans with numbers to provide to Canadians.
We've got to stop this. Visit refugeepause.ca. Sign our petition to get Trudeau to just slow down. Just press pause. He's got to put Canada first, not Syria. I'm Ezra Levant.